In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly fill out a scorecard. There's a few different things you have to pay attention to make sure it's done correctly. So that way, when you submit it at the end of a tournament, your round is official and you get to count all the arrows you shot. So the reason I'm actually doing this video is because I've had a few questions come up on how to properly fill out a scorecard. This actually is tied within the Kaminski Archery Backyard Championships, which are currently going on. Essentially, in a nutshell, what the Kaminski Archery Backyard Championships is essentially a digital mail-in tournament. So people from around the world of various different disciplines, indoors and outdoors, can all shoot and submit scores against each other and get access to a Discord server that is exclusive to this event. To find out some more information, I will have links down in the description below and a card at the top up there to my website, jkaminski.com. So we've actually had a few people submit their scorecards already correctly, many of those actually, and a few that have been incorrect, filled out incorrectly, so that way we cannot verify what the actual score was, and then it cannot actually be counted because it wasn't done correctly. So I'm going to show you and break down a few things that you have to absolutely do when you're filling out your scorecard, and some other things to just pay attention to, so that way, like I said, everything counts when you are done scoring. Because once you write down on this scorecard here, the written scorecard is the official scorecard, it counts. And there's no way to make changes. There's no way to make changes at the end of the tournament when you make an error to fix that correction, and you're supposed to do that as you're going throughout the round. So I'm going to show you how to properly handle mistakes and how to make sure that every single arrow you shoot, every single value you have written down is able to be counted to the total at the end, because it would be a shame to shoot all those arrows, put in all that work, spend the time and the effort and the money to go to a tournament, and then to have that score not count because of an error you made. So here's our scorecard, and this is an outdoor round scorecard. You'll see a few different things that tells you that this is an outdoor round scorecard. Part of that is how many ends are shot and how many numbers, how many slots for how many arrows are available before the end score. Okay, so before we get into any of that stuff, the basic overall idea of a scorecard is that it gives you places to put each individual arrow values, the total for each individual end, the running total for each end in combined score, and then your 10s and X's or something else similar to this. Most scorecards will end somewhere in this range. Not every single one has counts for X's and 10s. It could be 10s and 9s. It could be 5s. It could be various different things depending on the round you're shooting. Just note that this is essentially totaling up, this column, these two columns, are totaling up different other values of the arrows. The most important ones are actually the first 6 slots here, because that's for the 6 arrows shot in each end. So these arrows, these values from this section here over to this section here is actually the most important part of the entire scorecard. This whole stuff of end score, running score, 10s and X's actually doesn't really matter. When you make mistakes over here, it's not nearly as severe or potentially as punishing on your score as the mistakes are made here. Because when you add up your arrows or you write down your arrows, recording them on a piece of paper, what you're doing is you're saying this is officially these arrows that were shot. Now, I can make mistakes when I add them up and all of that stuff, and I can always fix those errors over here. But as the tournament is going on this way, when you're shooting those arrows, you have to make sure that these 6 arrows, before you pull them and before you walk back to the line to shoot 6 more arrows, are written down correctly. And if you make a mistake, you have to make very particular things, or you have to actually do very particular things rather, after you make a mistake, and I'm going to show you here in a second. So all you need to know is make sure that the arrow values are always correct. Everything else, you can fix the mistakes, and it's definitely a lot more forgiving. So first, let's write down a score. Let's just say I shot X, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7. Okay, so those are the 6 arrows I shot that end. What you're going to see is I wrote them in descending order. So this is important for just about every single tournament in the world. For the most part, there's a couple exceptions, and I'm not going to get into those in this video, are always written in descending order value. It's not in the order they are shot. It's not from low to high, and it's not random. It's in descending order because it makes it much easier to add the values. It keeps things much more organized, and it's just better. So everybody, for the most part, does it in descending order. I don't believe there's an actual rule that says it has to be in descending order, but that's how everybody scores it because it's very easy to add up this way, and it keeps things nice and organized. So what I do with the first 6 arrows here is I total them up for my end score. So I'm going to count down from 60 because that's what this is out of. It's just very easy for me to do so. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a 51 out of 60. Okay, now the running score. There is no running score technically, so it is acceptable, this first one here, to put a dash across that says no running score. So now this next column here is tens. X's do count as tens, but tens do not count as X's. So tens, 1, 2, 2 tens, 1 X, boom, done. Now I can pull the arrows and go back from there. Now, the next end. Let's say I shot, we'll do it again, and we're going to total up the running score. X, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8. Okay, so I got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 54. Okay, 54 and 51 is 105. I shot 110 because that X counts as a 10, and 1X. Done. Very simple. Pull my arrows, go back from there. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make an error. I'm going to make a mistake, and I have the archer saying X, 10, 7, 7, 7, 5. Sorry, my mistake. It's supposed to be X, 10, 9, 7, 7, 5. Oh, I already wrote it. Okay, I don't just erase it because I used a pen, and actually you're supposed to use a pen. So that's a second tip. You really should be using a pen because you're not allowed to erase these actual arrow values. These are the official scored arrow values. And so when I make a mistake and this needs to be changed from a 7 to a 9, you might say, I could make that 7 a 9, but then it just doesn't look quite right. The proper way to actually fix this is to put a single slash through the value, that is the mistake, and then write the correct value next to it. So I've got X10, 9, 7, 7, 5. And you'll see I fixed the error in the order that it's supposed to be. You could shift each one down if you missed an arrow or something along those lines, and you'd have slashes and corrections for each. Now, after you do this correction, what you need to do is have the scorers and potentially everyone on the bale initial the actual mistake. So it is proper procedure to, on the line, on the end, next to it, have your scorers make initials. So there's my initials. We'll just say there's another scorer's initials, and then there's someone else because there's 3 people on our bale. Okay, so we have people who have initialed the mistake, verifying that the value that it was corrected to is the correct value. That's how you're supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to just scribble them out, erase them, and rewrite them. Leave the error mistake, put a single line through it, put the corrected value, make initials to say, hey, we made a mistake, let's make this correction, and then everybody signs off on the correction essentially. So this end, I shot 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 48 points out of 60. 8 and 5 is 3, 5, 153 is my running total now. So I again shot 2 10s and 1 X. Okay, great. So far, this is going really well, and you're just going to continue to go down the list. So the whole idea is you want to make sure you put your arrows in descending value, like I said. When you make a mistake, cross it out, write the correct value, and initial, and potentially, sometimes even, see how this one is a kind of illegible 9. It's not quite a 9. It's like a open looped 9. Yeah, I could make the correction, and then maybe really positively make it look like a 9, and then make some initials and have all of the people fix that correction off to that end side. So as you go down the list, if you make mistakes down here and you're accidentally putting, say, a 59 instead of a 54, you could just scribble this out and write 54 correctly. It really doesn't matter. It's important to make sure that you're doing this correctly as you're going on throughout the tournament. So essentially, when you have a properly filled out scorecard here, this one's from my outdoor round that I shot with my recurve here for the Backyard Championships, of links down in the description below and a card at the top up there. Actually, it'll be over there if you're interested in checking out me shooting this round. But here is my filled out scorecard. You'll see everything is in descending order. My end scores are all totaled up. I did put a dash at my first end, and then I ran my total score from there. I also counted all of my X's and 10s, and anytime I didn't have any, I just put dashes across, just like I would if I shot none here, like that. It keeps the columns and everything nice and orderly and neat, and it's all filled out, so as I'm going down the line and down the list, I'm able to just continue to go to the next box and fill it all in much easier. Now, once you get to the actual bottom, to the end, you're supposed to add up all of these ends manually and make sure that the score at the end matches the running total here. Because if you make a mistake here and your running total is off all the way up here, really not important again, because this is not the official section of the scorecard. This section is. And all I need to do is make sure that my numbers down at the bottom match, make sure they're correct, total up all the 10s, total up all the X's, and then, most importantly, when I'm done at the end, make sure that all of the information on the bottom of the scorecard is filled out correctly with the name, the club, the area, the discipline, all of that stuff, the date, and then before you go to the judge's station to turn in your scorecard, you have to sign it to make sure it is done correctly. So when you're done with that, you then go over to the judging station and turn it in. And if you don't have initials where there's mistakes, in high stakes situation, in high stakes tournaments, when mistakes like this are made and they're not signed, this scorecard is thrown out. It is totally disqualified from official results because who knows when that change was made. And anytime there's a perceivable error that is made, something that's not quite standard, that doesn't look like everything else, it's never a bad idea to just annotate and to make note that everybody on the target agrees that the arrow value that it is fixed to, is correct, and it's all agreed upon. So that way there's no disputes, and all of the score that I shot here, all of the arrows that I shot here are counted towards my total. Total them up at the end, make sure they are correct, and that you verify. Total up your 10s and X's or 9s and 10s or whatever it may be. Maybe even a hits column. Some have hits down. And so you'd have to write 6s all the way down because there's 6 arrows shot for a total of 72 arrows in this particular round. That is what you may find on your scorecards. Everybody's is different. Everybody's laid out different. You might even have a box here that shows round 1, round 2. Okay, my first round I shot a 321, and my second round would have been a 328. Okay, so that was my total from the first half and the second half, and the amount of 10s I shot for each, and 9s I shot, or whatever it may be. They may ask you, how many 10s did you shoot in this first round? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 10s, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. X is the second half. So, or 10s rather. Hopefully this information helps, and I hope that you enjoy shooting tournament-style archery as much as I do. It's not as scary as you think it may be. If you go to your first tournament and you're still not sure how to fill out these scorecards properly, don't worry. The people on your target will happily explain you how to do it properly, because everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody started from zero at one point in their career, at one point in their archery experience, and people are very willing to explain to you when you ask if you do not know, because everybody wants to make sure that everybody is on the same even playing field. And when you make these mistakes, you annotate and fix them correctly. Everybody has an immense level of respect for each other, because in archery, there is no subjectivity. There's only objectivity, meaning it's only you, your bow, your arrows. Everybody's using the same target. Nobody's interfering with you. Nobody's preventing you from shooting better. It's all up to you. And then that way, you know that your result at the end is the one you truly earned. So hopefully, you can experience and enjoy archery in the same way that I have.